Welcome to the Extra Time Podcast, where you'll hear sports stories you might not have heard about from people you might not have heard of. Let's get into this week's show.
G'day all and welcome into another episode of the Extra Time Podcast. I'm Aidan Box and with me as always is Mark Woods. And Woods, without further ado, I think you're going to hijack one of my segments to start. Something happened over the weekend?
Yeah, well, you always start the podcast with "This is why we play." Now, what better way? Like, as everybody knows, I've been playing footy, put on the boots, and this week we played against Wattle Park. We'll go into that and we'll go through the highlights in the local footy segment, but I thought, why not highlight this? This is an amazing, I guess, this is why I play sport, to play with my mates. Now, Noah Fisher, great mate of the podcast.
You might remember him.
He put on the boots, put on the jumper.
He was on the podcast once.
Took the field alongside me, but there was a late inclusion from the Masala Football Club. We were able to get a ring in. Could only play the first half, and then he had to go off and do a commentary gig in Bunyip or something. But if you
heard
draw
he's pretty good
to the TV, just look at the guy in the middle. Boxy made his debut for the Masala Football Club. Tiger for life now. Inverloch.
You are.
I won't go as far as that because I know the Box family are still linked with Inverloch. So Inverloch Conwack Sea Eagles.
Yeah,
cheers.
We love Inverloch, but you don't get too much more of a menacing trio of blokes. It was pretty scary to look at. It was pretty scary for the blokes on the other side.
The only scary bloke in that is the bloke in the middle because watching you train, he did a training session for us.
It had been a while.
He blitzed it. He absolutely blitzed it. So it was amazing to take the field with two of my best mates.
Form is temporary, but class is permanent, Woods, as they say. But no, like you said, you don't play for any of the stats or anything like that. You play with your best mates, and I hadn't done that for a long time. So I thought, why not? I'll come down and do that again. That is what sport is all about.
Now, I hear you might be making a few other appearances maybe not this season, but next season if I play as well, there might be
We'll put it to the
Box
fans.
Woods.
If you give us enough likes and subscribes on YouTube, I might play for the rest of the season. But no, I had a lot of fun.
We'll look for next season, though. So be sure to check it out. There might be a video coming at the end of the season detailing my thoughts on actually getting up and about to play footy. But that's why I play. But it's not that's why we play segment. So that's why I play.
I like it. I don't mind it at all. Whenever you want to hijack anything that I've brought to the board, I don't mind that. I love that. It's a great one. We're all looking good in the yellow and black there. Didn't get the job done, but that doesn't matter. What matters is we're on the field together, sharing the turf, which is great.
Before we move on, though, Noah messaged me saying I didn't get the memo about the serious looks. I just wanted to point out he's all smiling, but look at us, arms crossed, just the neutral look on the face, and then he's just gleaming.
Smiling assassin, the fish. Had a great day himself as well, almost kicked a snag.
Almost took a mark.
But no, we all got off our backsides to play with each other, and someone that has really inspired me to get off my backside is my choice for This Is Why We Play. It's the same one as a few weeks ago, but last night I got to actually watch the film that I sort of teased on the podcast a few weeks ago, and Ned Brockman is, like I said a few weeks ago, I'm pretty sure I said it, and if I didn't, I'll say it now, one of the greatest Australians in history, and it's as simple as that. I think this is a pick from when he did his cross-country run a couple of years ago. Last night on Fox and KO Freebies, go make sure you watch it, the replay will be there. An hour-long documentary of the run, one of the greatest pieces of film I've ever seen in my life, and I don't watch a lot of movies, but it's just remarkable. I don't really have many words to describe it. You saw every little bit of emotion, both the good and the bad. The guy's just real. He's real as it gets. He shows you when everything's shithouse for him, and he shows you when everything's amazing. And he showed everybody the two most important things for me when you're trying to make a difference and you're trying to be the best version of yourself. He showed how far you can actually push the body. The human body can do incredible things past anybody's imagination, past Ned's. And he is like superhuman at times. But he didn't even think he could do things like this. And the other thing is, he showed you that you can actually, it's okay to actually express every emotion and actually be yourself. He wasn't bogged down by, I've just got to be a robot and I've got to run across this deck. He was awful. He was a horrible person at times. And he owns that. And he showed everybody that. And this film just shows that perfectly. And for me, it's exactly the sort of person I want to be. I don't want to be Ned Brockman. I want to be Aiden Box. But I really, really want to be the best version of Aiden Box I can be. And seeing Ned come out of his shell and become himself in front of thousands of people, both back then and now, and he's going to do it again in October when he takes on his next challenge. It just shows you, like, all the reactions from it. I saw it when they had the premieres in Sydney and Melbourne. All the reactions of all the people that got to come and watch the premieres were saying, I'm going to get out of bed earlier tomorrow, because you cannot help but watch him and go, I've got to be better. And that's what he's all about. And he's not doing it for himself. And if you follow my socials, I posted a story last night about how amazing it is. And at the end of it, he says, I'm not trying to change the world. If you think you can change the world, you're an idiot. I'm just trying to make a difference in my life and, be the best I could be and try and affect the people that are around me. And if everybody does that, the world is going to change. And for me, I've put it in because he's famous on social media and he's a famous person, but in the best and the most right way you could possibly be famous on social media. I haven't seen too many people use social media in a better way. That is, to me, exactly what it is for. He's got people that have never run before to run marathons. He's got people out there supporting him, even just running and getting some of his milk, which changes, his main cause, which is homelessness. He's raised thousands of dollars, but mostly he's got people following him and going, he's just this Aussie bloke from a farm out the back of Forbes in the middle of nowhere in New South Wales. And he's not changed by social media. He's just pushing his own personality through that. And people are being led by it to become the best version of themselves. It's exactly what social media is for. It's not for all these people that are, jazzed up and like, this is cool, I'm making money off my fame. Like, you couldn't care less what comes back to him. He wants to spread the message and that it's okay to be yourself and that mostly you can push yourself far, far beyond the boundaries. And I'm not, the fittest. I'm not like him and getting up at 5 and running 100 Ks. But what I have done since following him, watching that documentary, reading his book, following him every day on socials and drinking his milk and all that, what I have done is become the best version of myself I've ever been. And I'm doing things that me a couple of years ago would have been inspired by. And that's just doing, not afraid to be myself and express myself. So thanks, Ned. That's why I play, and it's why, you live. And he's changed my life. And I really, really implore you to go and watch Run, his movie. It's incredible. We move on now to, of course, our footy segment, always the flagship of the program.
And it's starting today. I'm excited to see all the amazing snaps from all the amazing photographers. Footy Focus 24. So I'll be taking a few. I'd love to see if any of the viewers there take some photos, enter it. I'd love to see them. So you might even get a feature on this podcast if you send them through to us.
100% you will.
I'll always display. I'm going to be a bit busier this year. I don't think I'll get a chance to go to many footy games, but I'm going to try and get to one or two between now and the end of the contest. But I've taken a few already, so
If you're new to the show, Woods did enter quite a few last year, and he did very well. You got some featured, obviously, on the page, and a lot that was seen by thousands on the website as well. Very talented is our man Woods, as are all the people that entered last year. This was obviously the winner.
such an amazing.
It's got so much to it,
Oh.
and that's exactly what Footy Focus is. I absolutely love it because it's nothing to do with the big leagues. It's how can you display our game and what's great about it.
And it's telling a
in the
story.
grassroots
Like
level.
you can tell a story in any photos now. I think this is the best segue I can find because we always try and display one photo. You had one. I earmarked one. And I said, "This is it. I don't care what you've got.
You go for it.
Just like this photo tells a story, and I mean impactful. This photo here. There's 3 players in that shot, all displaying high emotion, but it's the the fact that when you understand the situation, talking about the big leagues, well, is it hock footy?
Hock ball.
Hock ball.
Call it what you want, mate.
Like,
it's
just like this sums it up for me. A team that basically wasn't given a chance at the start of the year, enjoying their football, but it's also like, hold on, celebrating the win.
It's incredible. And in short, I had this feeling, and I didn't even watch it live. I was working. Like you said before, I was calling football down at Bunyip, calling a former Hawks legend. And you go around the grounds, obviously, at times during the call, and my co-commentator, Wiz, shout out to Ian. Great
Wiz
fella.
commented on Wiz?
He kept giving me updates of the game, and by the fourth quarter, when he gave me an update that it was close, I said, I don't really want to hear the next one. I'm too nervous. And he said that we won, but a couple of days later, I didn't even watch the replay. I just saw this, and I didn't even just see any of the footy. I was like that. I did the couple, I was sitting on the couch going, come on, because it's just so infectious. And I love how each and every one of these blokes are doing something different, but they're doing the same thing. Exactly. And it's that celebration and that intrinsic, how good is this? Just taking every single moment, because we weren't supposed to have this much of this year. So
here you are going, a couple of weeks ago, I don't care if we don't win another game. I don't care. But I'm like, every time you win a game, bang, you go. You're saying the same thing. After it, you're going, I don't need to win another one, because you're feeling that great. But then when you do, it's that same feeling. I'm like, Hock ball is on the move, but
it's pretty good.
As we look over round
18,
notes, 18.
3/4 of the season done, gone.
It's just gone so fast.
But an extra round this year means that we've got 6 still to go, a whole quarter left. Round 18, the last 3 rounds before it, just the same, just rinse and repeat. Remarkable football. 7 out of the 9 games decided by under 30 points, which is 5 goals, which is the sort of margin that you can probably peg back in 5 minutes if you go real hard. So that's the sort of stuff that all of those games, all 7, are games that are alive right down to the last 5 minutes, which you could not ask for anything more, really. And that 8th game, 8 of the 9, the St Kilda Crows game is 32 points. So really, it's the same thing. So 8 out of 9, effectively. The only other one is, Sydney and North Melbourne, which you can sort of forgive. If you've got 7 out of 9 games, amazing stuff. And second down to 13th now, 2 wins cover the whole thing. 2 wins in percentage. So, there's games these days where going into every round, if you're second, you could probably finish 9th if you lose, after the round. It's just nuts. Perfect script remains as well. To go through, obviously we had Cats and Pies on the Friday night. It was an absolute turnover fest in the first half. I was in the SEN, the AFL Nation box, and the commentators would sort of take the headset off after a quarter and go, what is happening out there? They're just giving the ball back to each other every single possession. It's crazy. It was frantic, but it was an entertaining Friday night footy in front of a massive crowd. The Pies had another chance somehow, even though they didn't play very well and they were down a lot of soldiers, to come back in the fourth quarter. They couldn't do so. Again, whether it's the heart, whether it's the down soldiers, who knows? There's been a lot talked about them. There always will be. They're a massive club. Couldn't get it done. The Cats, I think, are very, very scary. I think it wasn't a fluke when they won their first 7. A lot of people said it was. I don't think it was. I think, how great their top liners are. They've got Jeremy Cameron. Tom Stewart in the midfield has been unbelievable. Paddy Dangerfield's back and he's really impacting the team. And then those young guys, Lawson Humphreys, out of absolutely nowhere, out of the Waffle 2s, looks like one of the best half-back pickups anybody's got. De Koning going as well as his brother has, breaking out. I love Dempsey as well and Bowes, just really bringing up that excitement. A little bit like the Hawks, exciting the young fellas. And when Jeremy Cameron's excited and giddy to play football, he often plays his best. So they're still dangerous. See above for the Swans. They're humming. They've lost a couple, but they're on top of the ladder humming. And then, don't worry, they just got their captain and one of their best midfielders back in Callum Mills and Luke Parker. So very, very scary things happening up in Sydney. The Dogs, probably got the biggest hearts in football at the moment. They were absolutely slaughtered. They were, sort of weeping in their kennels over the week after that game in Port Adelaide. And then they come out and beat Carlton really convincingly. Yes, Carlton missed some shots, but Jamara Ugle-Hagan, like, unbelievable. Like, one of the most exciting players in the comp when he's going. That's why they spent so much and really wanted him when they picked him a couple of years ago. The Blues, I don't have much to say in this mini-seg. I'm going to talk about them later in a segment I think you probably know. I was just perplexed by that. Like, I'm pissed off, and I'm not a Blues fan. Like, unbelievable. The Demons in the wet without their ruckman and their heart and soul and their best player, two best players, if you want to put that in with Petrarca and Gawn. First time they've played a game without both since 2015 against Essendon, who are supposed to be back, beat the reigning premiers, they're on one, and they just taught them how to play. Without their main ruckman, they just pantsed them in the wet. Like, it's like the Bombers didn't understand wet weather football. I've just got heaps of question marks around them at the moment. And the Gold Coast Suns are the best team I've ever seen when they play at home. It's almost hilarious at this point. They go on the road, they struggle to find how to win. Like, they just try and lose. And at home, nobody can get close to them. It was remarkable stuff. Power, question mark, same as Essendon. I really don't know what they're going to be or where they're going to finish. Like, their best probably wins a final. Their worst could finish 14th. Like, what are they really doing? Jason Horne-Francis, like, they've just got guys that are superstars, but they're just annoyed because for me, it looks arrogant. Like, oh, as if we're not winning. Oh, as if I haven't got all of the footy. I'm going to crack it. And Ken doesn't look like he's quite got a handle on it at the moment between Butters and Horne-Francis. They need to switch on. And the Lions and the Giants, I think they will sneak in. I think they're top 8 teams. They definitely are at the moment. The Lions escaped once again. They love winning them close. Like, they could easily blow these games out, but they don't. The Eagles did quite well. And Toby Green and the Giants are back in form. It was awesome to see this.
I love this photo of
How
Toby
good
Green.
is this?
Amazing photo of Toby Green here.
Just, like, you could always count on Michael Wilson to just get the crackers, and he actually ended up posting a video after this as well with all the frames of this young fella waiting for his high fives. We absolutely love that. Like, the kids, like, that to me reminds me.
I love the comment I think that Michael Wilson had with the socks up.
It's just the best. And it reminds me of why you fall in love with footy and why we actually love footy deep down. It's the same reason why this kid loves it. Like, it's just fun. Like, yes, we analyse it and talk about it business and we put our, full thought and analysis into it. But at the end of the day, we're just like this kid. And that's what footy's about. And that's why I absolutely love seeing. Giants got the easy win over the Tigers. They made it pretty hard, the Tigers. They put a good effort in front of 19,000 was their lowest crowd since 2004, excluding COVID. So they had 92,000 for Dusty's 300th about a month ago, and now they're getting 19. Everyone's jumped off the Tigers train. Yep. Interesting. But there was a pretty full house over in Perth to see my man Hutch kick his first goal. What a goal it was as well, running towards the boundary line. It's like a little chinana, as I think they'd call it. Dicko would probably call it a bit of a chinana. Running left off the edge of the right boot, short of dropping it on the outer side of the boot. It was a great finish from Hutch. Great to see him finally burst through for his first goal. And to be honest, he hadn't had much of the pill before that. So it sort of made his game a bit better. Very happy to see that. Not as happy for your Saints, Woods. Couldn't quite bring that energy.
Yeah. Played 3 quarters well, and then just couldn't hold it in the last one, rain, whatever it was. But I saw a photo on Facebook, not relevant to the game, but
it's pretty. It's pretty humorous.
You put it into the photos for the week, so I'm like, this sums up.
And we're not going to bore you with reading the whole thing, but basically,
hold on. No, you know what? Established in 1890. Established in 1873 in England, established in 1872. Last flag one, last cup one, both were 1966. Lost 2 grand finals in a row. Well, they've lost 2 European championships in a row. And the last one will go into the defensive.
Very defensive, yeah. Which with the Saints, like we've said before on the pod, they're not. It's not exactly that they're defensive and boring. It's just that their backs are really good and their movement sometimes doesn't show.
Backs are good. The midfields to transition aren't as reliable.
And regardless of having some genuine stars, which same as England, like that, when I saw that, the main thing I thought was And yeah, the Saints are a great club too, and it's been a while. But how has the English football team not won a cup? So that is anyway.
They invented and let everyone
It
else
is
on it.
hilarious when
However,
you see the Poms lose.
That's it. As much Saints talk as there's going to be this week because
They went down.
You're wearing the Guernsey.
The very one, Woods. The very one.
There you go. There's that photo. Discuss.
Just take this in, baby, because he proved everybody wrong, including myself. And I will be the first person to put my hand up and say, little fella, I was very harsh on you the whole year, still am. And I'm not going to say I regret that, but I'm going to say I'm sorry. The kids kicked 6 goals and 19, I think, for the season. And Eddie Betts came on and said after the weekend's game that, look, if he kicks straight, he's provides so much to the Hawthorn Football Club. And if he kicks straight, he's All-Australian, which I don't know about. But what he does give is incredible forward pressure, like to a level where I probably haven't seen since Cyril and Puopolo, which we love. And they don't do it as much anymore, but he had such a tough start because they just decided to kick it on his head. And he is literally every single contest, except if he's against, I don't know, Caleb Daniel, he's going to be undersized. And he competes. Like there was contests on the weekend where I was seriously like, there is no way this guy should be putting himself in that position. Like we're talking flying for spoils against two monsters that are literally twice his height and width, and putting in crucial fists. And like, I don't think there's anyone else in the team, maybe Jack Scrimshaw, that would have more 1%ers than Nick Watson. And I do have to say, as much as I think he hasn't quite paid off what we paid for him quite yet, like he did win us this game, sure. But as much as I think that, I do have to admit, for anybody to go through this much, of a tough start, he doesn't get much of the football. He's missed 19 shots of his 25 this year. But he keeps going, and he literally gives 110% to every single contest, and he gets to a lot of them, and he affects a lot of them. He just doesn't come out with the ball. But then you can tell that he's going to be potentially like a Cyril, like a Puopolo. He's never going to be get you 20 a game. He might get you 5, but he's got that. The reason they call him the Wizard is he has that little bit in him that can pull out things like, I'll go back and watch the replay. The Hawks are up by 8 points, maybe just over a goal, 6 points maybe. Might have even been 3 points. Either way, up by a kick. Ball goes into the forward 50. He'd missed 2 easy shots to start this game. So everybody would have sort of given it up and gone, if he pulls away from that and I think Bruce was in the pocket with him. But instead of going, I don't want the moment, he sprints in front of Luke Bruce, takes a one-hander going horizontal on the boundary line, and then kicks the seal up from outside the boundary line from 48 metres. For him to keep his head, not only in that moment, but the whole year, and still try and give his best, it was always going to come out for him. And everybody said that. It was always going to be a moment where his wizardry would actually come out, and the little bit of spark that he does have would win Hawthorn the game. And now I'm starting to see, I'm not 100% on board yet, but I'm starting to see why they spent so much to get him in the draft, because he is going to be that Cyril Puopolo type that will do a couple things in a game and turn it on its head. And that's all you sort of need from a small forward when you have Dylan Moore down there that can get a lot of the footy and set up. And, Maka as well, similar. So it was great to see. Even better was my man Kane Corns getting around him, who's one of the more critical people in football and has been critical on the Hawks and on Nick Watson before. Just get around it. He just posted the shush emoji. I absolutely loved it. I put it on my story because he's embracing how cool we are. And I personally absolutely love Kane Corns. I like a lot of the stuff he says, and I know that's against the grain, but I love seeing that as well. But the main thing I wanted to talk about in terms of the Hawks.
Now, before you move on, I'm actually just wanting to talk about this before you talk about the Hawks again. I love this photo. Now, I just want to liken it. You don't know what I'm about to talk about, do you?
No idea.
Okay, so little bit of a tangent. We'll get back into the Hawk chat in a second. But this photo here reminds me of this one. Now, it's not for any other reason, but if I go the different angle, right, and that's the other angle here, is there anything you notice?
There's a crowd.
Yeah, there's a crowd, but the one thing I notice is both angles, absolutely amazing photos, right? Now, you can see where the photographer is that took the previous shot. Now,
Right.
I've only just seen the Nick Watson shot. So if I go to this thing here, this is slides that you were going to talk about earlier.
100%.
The one thing I noticed out of all this
He's right there, look.
is that photographer.
And
It's something I
for
love.
you who is one,
Yeah.
how good is that
It's
feeling?
something I love because you can actually see where that shot took place.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry to kind of hijack your
No, that's fine.
discussion.
You can keep these up
Yeah.
as well.
No, but I just want
how
to go,
good would this fella be feeling?
because he
in that
took
moment?
that photo. So that photo right there was taken by that guy right there. So I just love seeing that because you can actually see the moment and then you see the shot. So going back to the footy focus thing,
Yeah.
it tells the story, but then this photo here also kind of goes, you can actually see a different angle of it, and it tells a different story. But sorry to hijack, sorry to take it on the tangent,
mate. That was a great
I
pick
just
up.
loved that thing because of, as I said, it reminded me of the Jamie Elliott moment where it was an iconic moment, an iconic photograph out of it. Obviously, this photo here was not as iconic as
Still pretty
the
iconic.
Jamie Element 2 angles, and you can see the photographer in one, but still.
Crowd going crazy as well. And there's Cornsy's little tweet there, a little comment there that I liked as well. But the two either side is what I wanted to talk about next.
You've been talking about this man being the...
Boys hate me. Every time I come in with the jumper
we
on.
don't hate you. We roll our eyes because you keep mentioning he's the top 5 coach in the league.
Give me 6 better coaches than Sam Mitchell.
Right
Now.
Right now.
There aren't any.
Hold on.
There's not 6.
I won't say there's 6, however.
Longmire, Scott, McRae,
Voss. Okay, hold on. Let's go through the ladder, okay?
It's not about
No, I'm just...
He's from.
I just
So
wanted-
look at this one on the far left, and
I'm
this
just-
is a
I'm-
this
I'm
is
just
a
going to
this is
pick it
a
up.
Hawthorn bit of a fun page. Will they go? Might a bit of a Hawthorn meme page, but what they're saying here is correct. 2023, Kane Corns, the whole media storm. They're tanking. They need to be stopped from tanking. Sam Mitchell's not doing enough with this list. Like their list management's been horrible. They will win 3 games for the year.
Yeah.
That was last year. Start of this year, experts had us in the bottom 3. We're pushing for finals. We are the first team in history to be on the cusp of finals, to be with a positive record, to be beating top 4 teams, former grand finalists, with a team that should have been in the bottom 3. First team ever.
I won't say first team ever. There's been
First team ever to have be in 13th with a positive record. That is a fact.
That yes, but all the other stuff will
Beaten
Hold
former
on.
grand final, beat Brisbane when they got hot.
Yep. No, but
Beat Fremantle,
go
who are
back
in the
to
top
the
4.
top 5. Just have a look at. I'm just going down the ladder, and I'll say yes or no. And this is based on multiple of my own opinion, but multiple factors. So Sydney, Carlton. I will have to actually probably go. Yeah, I'll concede.
Yep.
I'll go. Mitchell would probably be about 5th or 4th.
He's up there. I think when
Given-
you take into account a lot of
given-
those teams in the top 8 have a far superior list to ours in
I was
terms of
going to say,
age,
given the list, given the
experience.
expectation, given what he's able to do, the
Like-
ability to motivate players to get the best out of themselves when they're not rated that well,
Yep.
I'll go, okay.
And the main thing for me is
Yep.
the fact that it's happened a couple times this year. The first time, like I spoke about a couple of months ago, was the Port Adelaide game. And I'll keep going back to it when I give this bit of a spiel here. From the Port Adelaide game to the week after, the bounce back was just remarkable. Like, to give up a 41.8 goal lead and lose the game in the last 15 seconds, to come out and beat, I think it was Brisbane the week after. Like, for them to switch on, like, there's not many coaches in the league that can do that. To get the group to buy in so much and then go, all right, turn around completely and play free-flowing, like, incredible football the week after and beat a decent team. And it happened again. Completely outplayed in Geelong. Never really had a proper sniff of even getting half into the lead. And then they come out against Fremantle, who have just beaten the top team, the best team, the most unbeatable team this year in Sydney, and are pushing for top 2, and they're almost completely healthy, barring probably Alex Pearce. Go down and completely switch from the football they played in Geelong to the football that won them this game. Like, it's just like I can't even explain how much like respect and admiration I have for Sam Mitchell and the boys. And Will Day was on 360 last night, and he was just saying, we're just enjoying it. Like, we weren't really, at the start of the year, it wasn't as enjoyable, and we probably weren't thinking we'd have a year like this, but we probably weren't supposed to. So we're just enjoying every moment. And when they enjoy their football and they play for fun and they play openly and without, worrying about, we've got to be safe, they're so good. And the main thing for me is, and this is where I want to bring the Port Adelaide thing in again, because when we lost to Port Adelaide, obviously had a big rant about it. And everybody in the whole footy world saw that Hawthorn tried to be safe and win that game from 25 minutes out.
Yeah.
Which you cannot do. You just cannot do it in this modern game. That hasn't happened once since. And Fremantle were dominating, especially in the third quarter. Yes, they missed a lot of crucial shots, but in the second half, they came basically as hard as they could. They were pushing, they were surging, they were playing the football that had them beat Sydney. They were looking like a top 4 team, and instead of the Hawks going, it's okay, we'll just be safe and we'll just kick it, dab it around and get in untested and try and just win it. They went in, held a leather and flicked up a gear and said, no, we're going to play with heaps of risk and try and win this instead of trying to save it. And that is the biggest improvement I've seen. Not from the 05. I don't really care about that. I just care about the football that they play, which is what I've been saying the last couple of weeks. From the Port Adelaide fiasco to the weekend, when John Newcombe flicked a gear and James Sicily went forward and flicked a gear and the Wizard turned it on, that's the sort of Hawthorn I want to see. Because, yes, they might lose a couple of games trying to do that in the run home, because it is risky. But that's more Hawthorn than trying to be safe and, turn into Melbourne or someone and try and move the ball slowly, which just isn't them. But my favourite thing about the weekend was that they used the different modes, which we didn't see in Geelong. In Geelong, they were sort of smacked in the face, so they went, we'll just play safe. And there was no trying to go quickly, which is part in Geelong's favour. They are one of the better teams I've seen this year in defending the ground, especially the Cattery, which you expect. But they didn't try and go fast. They tried to just be slow the whole time. But in this game, when they needed to take the sting out of Fremantle's run, they did that. When they needed to go fast and take it up a step and win the game, they did that. And the main thing I want to say about it is, obviously, I've talked about Sammy Mitchell or Einstein, whatever you want to call him, and the Wizard. But, mate, without my boy of the week, we simply don't win.
Who's your boy of the week this week?
It's the best captain in the... No, I'm not going to say he's the best, but he is my favourite.
He's in the top 5.
It's seriously... He is the sole reason I was so worried to watch that game in Geelong, because he wasn't playing. I will say this, and it is... I know it's, covered, caveated each way and specific to try and slug him in there, but there's not too many players in the comp that are more valuable to their team than this bloke, James Sicily. And you can see that by Hawthorn's results. When he doesn't play, when he didn't play in Geelong, they were all at sea in defence. They couldn't leave defensive 50. They didn't look... Their skills weren't great. They didn't look like they had any direction. All of a sudden on the weekend, he was awful himself personally in defence. He couldn't spoil, he couldn't run up and tackle. He was giving goals away. But his leadership is remarkable. It's like Luke Hodge, almost. And for him to... I talked about the Wizard before, getting through his battles with, negative stuff happening to him. For James to, first of all, be out there with a completely busted shoulder is just you don't want your captain to be anything else. He just loves this club. He's so bloody perfect for this club because he's young enough to understand the rest of the young squad, but he's, old enough to be a perfect leader. He's tough. He doesn't take shit. He used to when he was younger, but he doesn't do it anymore. He leads exactly the way that the Hawthorn side, the way they play, need. And for him to be out there in immense pain, I couldn't imagine the pain he was in, for starters, and then to admit halfway through the game, I'm getting towed up here. Like for your captain, who is the best defender at your club, to admit that's pretty humble. Like you're not going to get many captains doing that. That's a knock of a very, very good captain. To admit it and then go to Sam and have Sam say, I'm going to throw you forward because you're a liability. And he admitted I was a liability post-game. But then to go forward, oh yeah, you might just be a dummy, kicks 3 goals and wins Hawthorn the game as a forward. It's just like, there is no better choice. He's my boy of the week. But the bloke next to him, I've already mentioned, like John Newcombe, I could look at his stats, but I don't really care about the stats because watching that guy dominate in the middle in the fourth quarter, I've not been happier watching a player this year. That midfield he was going against, by the way, has a former AFL MVP in Andrew Brayshaw, Caleb Sarong, who is a leading disposal getter in the comp this year, and a genuine bull, who would both kick goals and having massive games. And then Luke Jackson and Lloyd Meek having an all-time ruck battle. And the bloke that's, out of the VFL, out of Poo Wong, just turns the game on its head. He's an absolute star. And James Warple, him and Daisy are going to be such a good midfield to watch over the next few years. So, good win by the boys. Great to have this jumper back on as well and see us winning in the jumper again. But
what isn't great
on Freo's side, like you said, not great.
Yeah. No, well, what isn't great, and I think the segment of the positives.
Well, it has to come to an end at some point because we've got to be negative sometimes on the pod.
Bad kicking.
Oh,
bad football.
I'm going to start with Fremantle, and I am going to say this week's bad kicking is bad football isn't quite about the numbers, like I was just talking about with Nukes. It's more about, yes, you might not have actually missed as many compared to how many you kicked, but it's when you miss them.
Yep.
That Fremantle second half, they were clearly the better team up until the last probably 15 minutes.
Now,
clearly.
I'm just going to chuck my wall of shame there, and I'm going to let you run for it. I'll probably have a nap. I'll probably do whatever because I've got Freo up there.
Oh. But like
there you go. Go for it.
The shots they missed in the third and second and fourth quarter when the game is literally, no cliche, on the line. Not only is the game on the line, you could have been second and finished second because the mob on your left also cocked up, right?
I think the mob on the left cocked up, but one person in particular.
Oh, so Fremantle
3-7 was it?
Both of these teams lost themselves the game because they kicked badly, which is the whole soul of this segment. It's bad football if you kick badly, right? Bad kicking is bad football, right?
Yep.
And when you play bad football, you often lose.
And if you play bad football, chances are it's bad kicking.
And if you kick badly, you lose. You deserve it. And you deserve to be in the bloody bin. And you deserve to not play finals. And it was putrid. Freo fans will probably complain, yes, that they've had to play a lot of games in Tassie. Yes, it's a big trip. It shouldn't have been there. Yeah, say what you want. You were in that game. You were better. You should have won it. You kicked poorly. Now, I'm going to give them a touch more credit than Carlton because it was a little bit windy in Tasmania, and sometimes that affects teams. Sure,
no.
Okay, but some of their shots, we're talking straight in front, we're talking 35 metres out, we're talking if you get paid hundreds of thousands of dollars, Woods, you kick them. All right? Team on the left, the Blues. It is your captain's 200th game. There hasn't been too many better players in the last 15 years step foot in your football club. He has almost single-handedly brought you from the worst team I have ever seen to a genuine grand final contender. You get a game at Marvel Stadium against a Dogs team that has just been walloped the week before. On the line is a top 2 spot, a double chance after you've just missed out on a grand final the year before. Your captain's 200th game. He is the most inspirational player potentially in the game right now. He does what he needs to do. He has his, 40-odd, kicks 2 goals, literally team on the back stuff. One of the better captain's performances all year. His teammate, the Coleman medalist, the reigning 2-time Coleman medalist. He leads at the moment. He had 10 shots. So you think, okay, he's got 2 Coleman medals. He's going for a third, which is history. You really want it, don't you? Where are they playing? Oh, at the G? Is it a bit windy? Is it under the lid? Perfect conditions. 3 goals, 7!
I'm glad I wasn't taking that then.
Oh, my Lord.
I would have been brutally waken up.
And I know that I am not going to be yelled at by Carlton fans in the comments here. Even the Baggers chat boys will probably be behind me. Charlie! If he kicked 10, he's got a medal, and he probably has a premiership because they've locked in, I know there's a long way to go, and there's 2 wins from them down to us in 13th. But, God.
But had they
in case you were wondering,
had they won,
Riley West kicked 4 goals, 1. Riley West.
Who?
Exactly. There is no win. It is... Carlton. And it's the same story. The Dogs played phenomenally, right? Awesome to listen to, awesome to watch. When they're up and about, not many teams are better to watch, right? And Jamara Ugelhagen had the ball on a string. He was kicking crazy goals. He missed a couple as well. Everybody was. I don't know what was going on. But Carlton, you get the ball. The mids were doing everything they could. The backs were doing everything they could. Blake Acres was everywhere. Exactly the script of their finals last year when they shouldn't have been winning, but they just find a way. That's how good this Carlton team is. They're amazing. And everyone's going, all right, we just get the ball to our Coleman medalist. He was judged the best player in the game recently by a couple people. Like Robbo, everybody says, this guy's a star. And there's not many better in the forward line, in the comp. 2-time reigning Coleman medalist. You'd think, if you get the ball to him, he'll kick the goal we need. We're only 2 goals down. We can come back. And the Dogs kept giving him chances. And, because Carlton's defence was doing so well. Cripps, what more can the bloke do? Seriously. Kick 2 goals himself. You get it to the best forward in the game, supposedly. 3 goals, 7. Including 1 from the goal square, which was touched and hit the post. Charlie, you don't deserve the Coleman medal, my friend. Because I've had enough of coming on this podcast and going, geez, he had 8 shots. Geez, he had 6 shots. Geez, he had 10 shots. But if you only kicked him.
15 shots and kick 10 and 10-5, yeah.
Jesse Hogan's chasing him. Oh, man, I hope Jesse gets it. Because the bloke doesn't deserve it at this point. How you can be such a beautiful kick. Charlie will get the ball 55, 60 metres out and lace someone with the ball only going this far off the deck. But on the set shot, 3 goals, 7, missing from the goal square. I don't care how much pressure there is. If you are as good as everyone says you are, if you want to play for Carlton and win big games, you need to be that good in that moment. And that was horrendous. And I hope for our great friend Jack Speechley, who I know watches the show, I hope that all of this negative criticism constructs Charlie to kick 12 goals straight this week.
I think you need to criticise him every week because when you did it against when you were criticising Port Adelaide and other clubs, they've stood up.
Unbelievable stuff. But worthy Wall of Shame members this week because Simply Woods, if they kick straight, if they kick well, they win. And they're both sitting 2nd and 3rd.
Now let's look at the positives.
Yeah, there were some positives, Woods. Especially the wet game, Melbourne and Essendon, they both kicked straight, 13-6 and 10-7, just showing Carlton that it can be done, even in bad conditions. And in good conditions, apparently it can't be done. But that's enough for there. A lot of the games were positive in the way of the kicking, especially in bad conditions, like I said, which is a positive to see. Teams are improving. They're listening to us, and they're getting to work on it. Hopefully Charlie does in the week that is coming. They've got North Melbourne this week, so they'll want to lift that. And it is at Marvel Stadium, Woods, so he gets a second chance there. In terms of game of the round, I think that game was pretty good.
You've got to go your own.
The mistakes that were made and how intense it was between the Dogs holding on to their finals hopes and Carlton. But at the same time, same things could be said for the Hawks and the Dockers.
I'll go Hawks Dockers, I think, that one.
And the way that it ended, I think, as well.
I was at Blackburn, Morden Park, watching it. By the Blackburn bench, and there was somebody else with a phone out going, 3 minutes to go. Oh, come on. It was that intense. You're there at local footy, and you still, as you do nearly every time you're at local footy, if your team's playing, you're always keeping an eye on the score and then going, let's...
I saw a great meme as well, and it was the sort of King Kong and Godzilla sort of clashing, and on one side it was Hawthorn in Tassie, and the other side it was Gold Coast at People First Stadium, which I thought was pretty funny. Neither have lost at those venues, and Hawthorn get one more chance against North Melbourne in round 24 to stay perfect down there. We love Tassie. It's a great place to be. My family was actually down there during the week, but came home on the Friday, which was Dad wasn't too happy about that. But either way, good to see that game of the round. The Hawks, very exciting team to watch. But how far can they go as we go into who can and can't win the flag? I do need to see a bit more from us. We are still in 8th and 13th. So I'm not going to go and, put the cart before the horse. We're in 13th at the moment. You've got to break into the 8 for me. But we are playing that exciting, contending sort of football. So I'm not going to move the X off Hawthorn. But as I look at it, I gave, the Dogs a one more chance on the weekend, and they took it and used it perfectly. So they're there, and I'm going to move that off them. I think they got a tough one this week, and like I said last week on the show, it only gets tougher. It's going to be such a tough run home for them. They're going to have to basically make every step forward a perfect one from here on in, because they get tough opponents. They're far enough down where they just need to keep winning. And they do have the Cats this week. But in terms of movements, I'm going to take the pressure off them. I'm going to put it, as it has still been, on Port Adelaide. I just don't know how to predict where they're going to go. But their star power, like I said earlier, as sort of off the leash as they are, as crazy as they are and hot-headed as they are and arrogant as they are, I still think when they're playing their best football, they're right up there. So they have to stay, again, not where they have been the whole season, but I've still got them there. And I think, Hawthorn's the only team that you could probably take one up. I'm going to be safe and keep it on for the moment.
You're leaving it as is?
My pressure now is on the reigning premier, which is crazy to say. Nobody. And you can say that you did, but you are lying. Nobody thought they would be anywhere near this position this season at the start. They thought, all right, it's going to be them in prelim final week and who else? Because they just played a different sort of football. Their injury list is long, sure. Key players are on it, sure. But they've just been found out in a lot of ways. They're not playing with the same vigour. And this weekend, it's us and them. It's the Hawks and the Pies. And everybody is building up as an elimination final.
Are you going to do anything
Whoever
else?
wins that game stays on. Whoever loses goes.
So if Hawthorn win, you're going to move the Red X to Collingwood.
I am. Yep.
Okay, you heard it here first. So you're leaving it though?
I'm leaving it now, yes.
Okay, so time to mind, there's going to be some movement now. I've been a bit bullish. I went full on Red X's, wanting teams to kind of not go hold off, I'll see how they go. I've just gone, no, they can't. In the current position, they couldn't. However, some teams have lifted. One team, Brisbane Lions.
They're in the top 4, Woods.
Bang.
They're in the top 4. It's remarkable.
That's why the Red X just came
but
off
I'm just saying, it is incredible stuff.
About a month ago, I would not have given it, but within the last month, they've been able to win.
And they've got a fella that could win another Brownlow medal.
The problem for them is I think they've got Sydney.
They've got Sydney at the Gabba this week, and they have, obviously, if anyone who follows football at all, you would know, but they are without Charlie Cameron for 3 weeks. Pending the appeal, Woods. They're going to the appeal board. Didn't work for Isaac Heaney last week. They're going to see if they can change that.
They've got Gold Coast at People First.
The Q Clash.
Could that be the first home game that Gold Coast lose?
I don't know, mate. They're unbelievable.
Then they've got St Kilda, they've got Giants, they've got Magpies, and then they finish it up with Essendon. So I have to take it off. Looking at the ladder, you got Sydney, Carlton, Geelong, Brisbane, Fremantle, Essendon. All of them having now with Brisbane there.
Probably
they're safe. But GWS, Melbourne, Port Adelaide, Bulldogs, Gold Coast. They're all got the red X on. The only team outside the top 10, outside the top 11 that I've left is Collingwood. Now, it's made me reassess. Do I take a few red X's off? Or do I leave it as possible? Leave it here. Or do I put the red X on Collingwood? Do I wait until I see how they go against Hawthorn? These are all the decisions I've been having to think about. Now, I'm doing it. Right now, red X on Collingwood. Before they play Hawthorn, Hawthorn are going to come out and win. Clip this up later. I don't see Collingwood. Collingwood need to win 4 games in a row for me to take that red X off them now. Now, I haven't looked to see who they play. So they've got Hawthorn this week. The following week, who have they got? As I scroll down, they've got Richmond. So there's potentially 2. I could be eating my own words right now.
Carlton right after that.
Carlton.
Sydney after that.
Sydney.
Brisbane. And Melbourne.
So
it might all come down.
Melbourne
it might all come down around 24 for them.
Melbourne are the team that I'm going, do I take the red X off them? Bulldogs are the same. Giants even. Those 3 teams and win 2 games in a row now. The rule is if the teams with the red X that are there or thereabouts in the battling for the finals, right? That have the red X on them. If they win 2 games in a row from now on, then I will actually go, you know what? I'll take that red X off them. So, for teams like, and I've got to go through this quickly, Bulldogs, Melbourne, Gold Coast, and Giants, they win this week, I'll take the red X off them next week. That's the deal. Essendon are there.
It's very tough. And the fact that simply Carlton, if they lose a couple, they could be outside the 8 with how close it is. Just shows you that you literally have to be a fortune teller.
It's throwing a dart at a dartboard blindfolded.
You have to be some sort of fortune teller to actually predict who's going to win this one.
I just thought I'd, before we move on, highlight who each of those teams I just mentioned played. Melbourne playing Fremantle.
Well, we'll go through the whole round this weekend for you all so we can have it clearly down. Friday night is at Marvel Stadium. It's the Bombers and the Crows. And the Crows, like we talked about last week, Woods.
The Crows are strange.
Just stay there because them and St Kilda were basically playing for the team that loses deceased, team that wins just a little. They were able to get there.
There's that minor heartbeat going. But they need to win about 4 games in a row to kind of get back up there.
They need to do everything
That's how
possible.
it is.
Yep.
I'll say this now. Adelaide need to win every game.
They do. And they head to Marvel Stadium. I was listening to Tex Walker last night
Essendon need
on
just
360.
to return to form.
And he said, we are pumped up to get an away Friday night game. They are the villains. He said, we want to come over there and show the comp that if you put us on these games, we will come over and give it a real shake. The Bombers, like you said, they're trying to win their first final since I was alive. Like I was born, pretty much. 7,000, 8,000 days ago.
I remember the last final win like it was yesterday. I've got no problem with that.
A couple of weeks ago, everyone's saying, oh, it will happen for sure because they're going to get a double chance right now, and no one's sure. So that's going to be a belter. It's the Expansion Cup to kick off your Saturday, and it's going to be massive.
This is the one where 2 teams that I mentioned, whoever wins this,
yep,
I will take that red X off them.
Because basically both still on that cusp of being in the 8 or not. A win solidifies that a little further for the Giants. A loss sort of puts them back in limbo. A win for the Suns will be their first on the road for the season. And what would that give them? That would be massive. We'll see what happens there at NG Stadium. Your Saints
Marvel
hosting
Stadium.
The West Coast Eagles Woods. And at this point, neither have the finals aspirations.
15th,
but
16th, they're just...
Really... For Saints fans, I know that I don't want to speak for you, but you just want to rock up or you just want to switch it on and go, I want to watch this team play football that's attractive. If for nothing, just so you can attract, people that want to come over. And then it is the first elimination final for the year. It is an elimination final
It is
in
the wild
July.
card round.
It's incredible stuff. Hawthorn starting favourites against the reigning premiers at the MCG at the prime time 4:35. We're listening to this on the radio. I'm nervous as my legs are already shaking. I can't wait, but then I'm nervous at the same time. It's a weird feeling. It's a cats and dogs. It's raining cats and dogs on your Saturday night. What a game this is going to be.
GMHBA, and this one here, if dogs win, Red X will come off them.
If the dogs win, I think everyone is going to be a little bit worried about playing them in the run home, and I think they really should, if they win this game, finish in the 8, and they could win a final. That's how good their list is. They still have the best player in the comp, but the Cats are very, very dangerous, and like we saw with Hawthorn a few weeks ago, very, very hard to beat at the Cattery. These two played in Gather Round, I think, and that was an absolute thriller. The other game on your Saturday night, which it's not as big by any real stretch, it's the Power.
I think it is big for Port Adelaide, though. They need to not let these games go to waste. If
they host the Tigers, who are
if Richmond
on the bottom.
Can somehow win this game, it basically puts the stamp on Ken Hinkley.
No bias here, but I think the whole AFL world would be pretty chuffed if the Tigers somehow come out and win this game, because I think almost more than their fans who just didn't want to rock up on the weekend, I think everyone else in the competition is really happy for Richmond. They just want to see them sort of do well because they've had such a tough year. But that's on your Saturday night. Sunday kicks off at 1:10 with potentially the game of the round. It's a top 4 clash, the only one in this round.
There's a few finals-like games here.
It's the Lions and the Swans. So this will tell us how good both of them are. Yep. If the Swans go up and win this game, it's like, oh, well, yeah, they are clearly the ones to beat. If the Lions win this game, it is like, all right, these guys made the grand final last year. They've just beaten Sydney. Watch out. And then it's backed up by the Dockers and the D's. The Dockers trying to get back in that top 4. It's at Optus Stadium. And Melbourne trying to stay in the 8 without potentially Max Gawn. If they win another game without Max, it is serious, watch out as well. The Luke Jackson Cup, you could call that one. And then to finish the week, Chen Charlie actually kicks straight. It's the Blues and the Kangaroos at Marvel Stadium. Make sure you enjoy that. That's enough footy for this week as well. We always go pretty long with that. We love the game of AFL. But into the tennis world.
Hold on.
You had to slip.
Hold on. He's trying to avoid the most sought after title in extra time history. Now, these are just some of the retro looks from the Hawks. I just wanted to point them out before actually presenting.
I did forget. And
he forgets, and he's got the title here.
I've taken my belt off for this. You asked me at the start of this season when we brought this in. There was no chance I would have thought I would be holding this. And it's not quite the actual belt, but it's a belt, baby, and we got it. And just in case you thought we weren't happy about having it.
I tell you what.
Look at the lads.
If Hawthorn retain this, I'll do my best to bring in. I'll bring in a belt next week for you.
They are the coolest team potentially in world sport right now. It's retro week this week. The jumper I was wearing a few weeks ago with the Menacing Hawk, that will be worn by the boys on the weekend against the reigning Premier Woods. They are the coolest team out. They just celebrate everything. They embrace each other. They're all connected like a flock of birds, you could say. And they're just happy to be in every moment and playing the football that they are behind the Messiah, Einstein himself. We've got the belt, and we have to defend it against the team that started with it, Woods. The Pies had it in opening round this year, and they haven't had it since they ran out at NG Stadium. So they're going to try and get it back off the Hawks. And if the Hawks can sustain it, boy, what a story that will be. But it's great to see the brown and gold just beside the belt this week, Woods. But I was a little bit keen. I'm a very humble person, Woods. You might not expect that, but I tried to skip it because I wanted to talk about the baby goat of tennis. And tennis is one of those sports in the world, there's not many, where the records of the greatest are incredibly hard. They're so big. They've done so much winning. It's going to be so hard to beat them. But I'd be scared still. I'd be really scared if I was Novak and Rog and Raf. Because I haven't quite seen a talent like this in a very, very long time. I'm not an avid tennis follower, but I've watched most of the Opens. And watching Carlos Alcaraz, mate, Like, I have never in my life seen Novak Djokovic get dominated like that. Novak was playing the best tennis I've seen him play in years, trying everything. You know, drop shots, like out the court, trying to outsmart him, it was like prime Djokovic stuff, and Carlos had every single answer. To a point where Novak was sort of just standing like, well, fuck, man, what can I do about this kid? He's 21 years old. And in 25 days, look at this. 5 weeks, 2 surfaces, 1 champion. He went over to the French Open, got that done. Went over to Wimbledon, got that done against the best ever. In straight sets. Absolutely snipped Novak Djokovic. He covers the court like not too many others on the tour. He's so powerful. Some of his winners, so powerful. His serve's clean. And then he just pulls out this different sort of class with some of the shots he can play. He is an incredible talent. And I think he'll just keep on winning. Probably a gold medal is next, probably on his horizon, if he goes hard enough. And then obviously the US, if he can finish off with the US Open, jeez, I'm going to be paying whatever the price is to watch him at the Oz Open next year. He is one of my favourite athletes to watch in world sport right now, a deserved winner of both of these Opens, and a very, very cool graphic, this. So, well done to Carlos. And I'll speak a bit more about Spain a bit later, but I'll talk a bit more about Aussies first. Woods, the Boomers got themselves underway over in the Middle East. I think in Abu Dhabi at Etihad Stadium with some basketball, and we played the team that consider themselves the 101, no one's close to us in the USA, and we ended up getting pretty close. My takeaways from it, I did watch the replay as it was at 2 a.m. the other night. I wasn't going to stay up for a exhibition game. It was very much NBA game-like, and I say that, and that means something because it's going to be an interesting tournament in Paris, because it is played with FIBA rules, which obviously are different to NBA rules in quite a lot of ways. It's the way that the rest of the world pretty much plays. So European basketball play under FIBA rules. The NBL does. The NBA has its sort of own set of rules. The 3-point line's sort of further back. There's no goaltending. Whether it's in FIBA, when the ball touches the rim, you're able to knock it off, things like that. Shorter quarters, less fouls to give, sort of thing. But this game, because there was, I think, so much NBA talent on the floor, it certainly started, and for 3.5 quarters was very much NBA game-like in that there was a lot of sort of ISO, there was a lot of free-flowing, there wasn't too much pressure on the ball up the court. It was sort of, at the start, it looked like a shoot-around. Like there was sort of just people just jogging down the court, taking their shots. LeBron started the game 2 of 2 from 3, he just sort of walking into a couple 3-point shots. It wasn't as intense, and obviously it's an exhibition game, so you can't take everything from it like you would an actual pool game. But the positives, I think, for the Boomers, on the break, we were just chopping them up. Like, on the fast break, Australia's unbelievable. Like, clearly trained that. They've got great chemistry. The outlet passes are quick to the right spot. And on the back of that, the cutting in the half court is phenomenal. And the pick and roll, especially between our man Josh Giddey and Jock Landale, looked sublime. And, Joel Embiid, who was one of the best defenders in the NBA in the world, he couldn't handle it. Bam Adebayo, like some of the best of the US, couldn't quite handle it. Like, they're great when they cut. On the flip side of that, when Australia, and this happened in both games, we obviously played Serbia last night, when the play is slowed down completely and we're in the half court and it's a slow play, sometimes they took really bad shots, like from way outside of three-point territory, or contested, or they just couldn't get a right shot, or they tried too much one-on-one with somebody, and it really got them into a bad rut. And the US sort of really capitalised off that. So that worries me against European teams like, say, Spain, say, Greece, that we're going to play, that will play with a lot of energy and put a lot of pressure on the ball from way down the court. How is Australia going to combat that? And then in the US game, the shooting was putrid. I think in the end it was low single digits for 24 shots, like maybe 8 for 24, something really bad. But in saying that, Giddey was awesome getting shots for the bigs. obviously through the pick and roll and similar plays and cuts, backdoor cuts, things like that. So that was going, but that sort of makes us one-dimensional. And that moves into the second game, which we played Serbia last night, and yes, Nikola Jokic played, where it was the opposite. The shooting was phenomenal. Patty Mills dropped 28 after he had a pretty bad first game against the US. So it was great to see him back. And I'd actually said with our man Slow-Mo Scarghetto, he's a little bit slower. He hasn't had that NBA play. He didn't really play many minutes at all last NBA season. So I thought, he's not going to be as quick as he was in Tokyo. He's not going to be coming off those screens really quick, getting the shot up. He's going to have people trailing closer and getting more contests onto him. And they did that. Serbia did that, and he still shot pretty well. So he proved us wrong. And maybe we're going to get, Tokyo Patty a few times, which would be nice, and they'll clearly win us games. But then we didn't have, the bigs didn't show up. So we didn't have that inside presence, which is, at the end of the day, like I said, makes us one-dimensional. So you sort of have to have both, and that's where the US were way better. When they turned it on in that last 5 minutes to win that game, they had, they've got shooters all around the perimeter. They can stretch at all 5 positions, but then they can kill you inside as well with their height and strength. So we don't quite have that yet. They haven't provided that where we can stretch the floor completely, because Jock can shoot, Nick Kay can shoot the 3, but not quite as well. And then we've got guys that, playing at the forward and guard positions that aren't as good shooters. So I think for us to go deep, we have to get that balance between inside and outside game, which we haven't had so far in our warm-up games. But, at the end of the day, you just got to be stingy on defense. I think the energy was great. Patty Mills was talking about playing with that trademark Australian grit and energy, which won us that bronze medal in Tokyo. So if they bring that, we'll give it a real shake. But I just think, we've got to have both the bigs and the shooters on the outside getting going, which, again, could have had Chris Golding over there, could have had Matisse. That's all I'm going to say. But I'm very excited, Woods. The warm-up games are done. The real stuff starts now, and we've got Spain first in our pool game. So that's going to be interesting. We need everybody, playing well. The defense was pretty good, but I think, we just got to switch on and play 100% of the minutes. We'll be okay. But very excited to watch that. Our man Slow-Mo Scarghetto is going to be over there. I'm not sure if he's going to catch any Boomers action, but he is. He did say he's going to watch the US, so keep an eye out on the socials. We'll probably reshare what he puts up there. Around over in Paris, the Lucky Ducks over there as well, and Extra Time Zone Alice Wilson too over in Paris.
Yeah, so look forward to the content there. Make sure you check that out during the Olympics on our Instagram.
And it's a great segue into Aussies around the grounds, and there is no bigger story in Australian sport in the last few days, and that's a big call, but this is incredible. Our man, this is bananas. It's Travis.
We've mentioned him a couple of times now on the Extra Time podcast, so it's not an unknown story. So we've been following this closely.
Yeah, we were expecting this because he is one of the best talents Australia has ever produced, and worthy to be my weekly wonder. But more importantly, worthy first ever Australian pick 1 in the MLB draft. He's off to Cleveland.
Now, I just want to put that into perspective. How many Australians have been number 1 in the NBA draft?
Quite a few, if you include the Americans that were born in Australia that we claim, including Kyrie Irving. I think Benny Simmons as well. So there's about a handful.
Okay, so that just goes
maybe
to show...
Maybe 8 or 10, who knows?
It just goes to, more importantly, it goes to show the rarity for another league, for another country's league, that, there's actually baseball. I mean, I've enjoyed.
And especially because, baseball's a world sport, but in a nation that is like a cricketing nation.
It's not really known for the baseball. We've got the Australian Baseball League. We've got that semi-development program pathway.
It's incredible.
But to see people that can actually go over to the States for university, and play there and actually become number 1 draft pick. So
it's a pretty cool story. Was an amazing cricketer, as you'd probably expect. He can hit the ball. He's always been able to hit the ball. And everyone was sort of expecting him to go, you'll be a cricketer, right? And maybe we could use him. Maybe we could have used him at the World Cup. But he's got, no, I want to play baseball, which it was obviously the first mark on his career and the first turning point. When he's like, no, I'm going to put everything into baseball. The Beavers, Oregon State said, yeah, we'll have you. And they probably didn't even expect that he would break pretty much every record they had with the bat.
Well, I got to say,
Amazing.
the English lay claim to it, but Australia, Bazball.
Bazana ball. It's
it's Bazball.
Took the
Can't wait to see Bazball, baseball.
took the states by storm
But-
in the NCAA. And if everyone's going, oh, he's just been picked, he hasn't played yet. Why is it such a story? Well, it's a story
It's the
because
first one
this
for Australia.
Australian kid is the best talent in the whole world in the best baseball league in the world.
In that
Mind
draft
you,
pool.
like-
in that draft pool, he's number one.
Like, out of all the American talent they produce themselves, out of all, Japan, all the other nations that
all
play
international talent
play
this draft
baseball
pool,
way more than us,
he's number one.
he's the best talent in the world.
So it's a bright future, and I think this is what's so great about this from a grassroots level, is that a young kid in Australia can actually, he's playing at a local baseball club, he can actually be the next Travis Bazana now. There's this actual thing that it's not the thing of I want to be number one. I want to play Major League Baseball. I want to be drafted number one. Like, it was unheard of until it's heard of,
Yep.
and that's the thing. It's like this is actually saying the thing of kids play baseball in Australia. We'll look up to this kid and we'll look up to this man, and going, I just want to be like him now.
100%.
So I look forward to seeing. Hopefully, it actually does something for the participation of baseball in Australia. If it is a great opportunity for it.
And if you are, like he was, just a kid at Taramura High School in Sydney, you could be the number one pick in the MLB draft as well. Pretty cool. And an early win.
Hopefully, it also drags the attention during the summer for the Australian Baseball League
100%.
and the Melbourne Aces. As I said, there might be something in the works with extra time. We'll have to wait and see there. But for now, great to see. And what else is there?
So it's not quite going to equal Travis, but it is another record-breaking event. And she was on last week, so she got a bit greedy. And I'm talking about Jess Hull. After she smashed the area record in, I think, the 15 we were talking about last week.
That wasn't enough.
She come out in Monaco, and she's like, I'm going to run the 2K, and I don't just want one record. I want to break the world record. World record. Fastest woman ever to run the 2 kilometres. And she smashed it. 5:19, Woods. That's going quick. I can do 2K, and I'm running fast in about 10 minutes. She can do it in half the time. The Olympics are just around the corner. Jess will be running the 15 there.
Good form.
Can't wait to watch her. No, more great coverage from my man Mitchy Dyer and Straight At It. But seriously, Jess is some sort of purple patch this. And I watched the action, and if you go back and watch the race, I think Athletics Australia posted the highlights. You can see that on Insta. She won the race by like 60 and 70 metres, Woods. Like on the last lap, the commentator was saying, well, here goes Hull. She's a good at least 50 metres in front of the field. She is going to smash the world record, and she did. So, a deserved world record for Jess Hull. The whole country is right behind her. I cannot wait for these Paris Olympics. We've got so many great chances at medals, and I'm keen to see Jess take on the rest of the world, see what they've got up against her. She's going to be phenomenal, but congratulations to her on the world record and to all the other records and personal bests that all the other athletes are achieving that we haven't covered. We apologise. There's been such a lot. But if you are interested in them, one man that does not miss a single one is my man Mitchy Dyer. Go look at Straight At It on Instagram and he'll have you covered from basically now forever. He's unreal. Someone else who is unreal is my man Johnny Furphy. I had to add a Furf the other day. Because I'm not sure if I end up getting a photo of him, but our man, Johnny Furphy, on his Summer League debut, 18 points, Woods. And he's not just a three-point shooter. Yes, he knocked a couple down from beyond the arc, but he got up as well. I think he was caught a lob. Bloke's got bounce, and it's just great to see. The pace has got a real good one. An absolute steal at pick 35, if you ask me. Should have been in the first round, this kid. He's got it all, and he did it all. Stuffed the stat sheet with 18 points, 8 rebounds, and did it on the defensive end as well, our man. 2 steals and 1 block. Wasn't quite the same for former Perth Wildcat Alex Sarr, who I saw recently shot 0 for 15 in his debut, Woods. And 0 for 7 for 3, so he had no points in his first action. Hopefully he can get back on track there. But great to see our main Aussie draftee with the Furf. Make sure you have a glass of Furfy this week, everybody, to celebrate Johnny. I can't wait to watch him in the Pacers colours in the real stuff later this year. Someone else that we might see in the real stuff, Woods, and I forgot to get this flick for you, but Jack McVeigh.
What are you talking about?
There it is.
I'm just that good, mate.
You don't
Just like Jack McVeigh landing in the NBA, I read the run sheet and I'm like, oh, there's meant to be a photo here. I'll
So
quickly
the
go
report
get
is, I believe the Rockets are interested in the former Jack Jumper, and that makes me happy, first of all, because if he does sign with them, he won't be playing for Tasmania, which is great for that competition, because the bloke just took the piss last season. And I say take the piss because that shot still haunts me, that buzzer beater. It will haunt me forever. The guy's an absolute star, playing great for the Boomers as well in limited minutes. Can shoot the three. I've talked about him so much before. One of my favourite Australian basketballers going around right now. Such a big heart. He's not very assuming when you look at him, but he can tear you apart. Shoots the three ball, lengthy on defense, inside, outside. And he's quick as well for his height, and it's unbelievable. So hopefully that goes through, and he does play some NBA action later this year. Cannot wait if that is to happen. But first of all, can't wait to see him strut his stuff in the Aussie colours over in Paris.
Yeah.
And I think I have included as well, obviously Olympics first, but Paralympics off the back of the Olympics, and our Paralympic athletes have been announced. So great to see that as well. I'll just try and get the announcement of the team for you if I can. As we just give me a moment. But it's great to see everybody there get on their bike to Paris, and off the back of what is going to be already a bumper Olympic Games, the Paralympics. I don't know why you wouldn't just be as hyped, even more hyped for that. Can't wait. Obviously, the Olympic Games finish sort of go into August, and the Paralympics start off the back of that at the end of August. Can't wait. We've got some absolute stars in there. Obviously, one of those, Rhiannon Clark, met her myself. She's an absolute star sprinter and a very nice person as well. So she headlines that team, you could say. And only young as well. Someone else that's young, Woods. And this isn't Aussies around the grounds. I know I'm breaking the rules again, but this is simply one of the most incredible stories I've seen in world sport recently. Imagine
you're going to do this to me, aren't you?
Imagine being 16 years old and playing in one of the biggest sporting tournaments in the world. And not only playing, not just playing a couple minutes, but making a genuine difference and leading your nation in assists. I'm talking about Lamine Yamal. This kid just turned 17, and by just, I mean last week he turned 17. Bloke isn't even legally allowed to drive a car in Australia if he wanted to. Can't even drink alcohol yet legally. And he led Spain in assists in the Euros.
You have to talk about this.
I know that you're down because you've got the Pommy heritage, mate. But everybody, regardless of where you're from, you've got to take your hat off to this kid.
I'll congratulate him, but when you
and now he's going to go back to school and just be like, oh yeah, what'd you do on your holidays? Oh, I just led Spain to a Euro Cup win. Spain played, if you aren't following here, Spain played England in the final of the Euros. So the Euros is basically the biggest European sporting tournament.
5 a.m. last Monday. So the alarm goes off.
The Poms are extra passionate because as you saw earlier, they haven't won squat in 80 years, whatever it is.
Since 66, since the same as the Saints. So if it's not bad enough I'm a Saints supporter, I've got half Pommy blood in me that I'm there going, I can't not go for England.
Sucked in, mate.
In the World Cup, it's Australia and England, and guess what?
Sucked in.
It's the same thing, but
I'm going to put you further into that hole of despair because you took out my Dutchman to get into the final. So I was pretty annoyed about that. But Spain were just on another level, really. It was great that the Poms gave it a real run. Obviously, when they scored, they were 1-0 up in the first half, and it was going crazy because football was coming home. And then Lamine and the boys just said, oh, no. Espanyol got this covered. And had got it covered, they did. I think they ended up winning 2-1. And like I said before, it's a big deal.
Did you say it was 1-0? I'm pretty sure Spain scored first and we scored the equaliser.
Oh, okay.
And then they put it.
And we're only mentioning it because this kid made
So
such a
yeah.
difference.
So at halftime it was 0-0. Spain scored 47th minute, 2 minutes into the second half. Then Cole Palmer scored in the 73rd minute. Then the 86th minute.
So if you don't follow soccer, that's with 4 to go.
So 4 to go before extra time. But
English hearts were
86th
broken.
minute.
And there's not much better.
And it wasn't just that. It was the fact that England had a play. And this is when England scored, I started to wake up and actually watch it. And then
I
Spain
think the
scored.
whole world did.
Then Spain scored. And then England had an opportunity where they attacked. The goalkeeper scored it. It rebounded to an English player who then hit it. It looked like it was going in, except for there was a Spanish defender on the line who just was in the perfect spot, headed the ball out. So it wasn't the goalkeeper. There was literally a last line defender on the goal line who saved the game for the Euro, for the Spanish team.
That's what you've got to have.
And broke the heart of every Englishman and everybody going for England.
Well, there's
which
nothing
is
better.
basically only Englishmen.
There's nothing better than breaking the hearts of Englishmen. I'll always say that. But yeah, just this kid, Lamine Yamal, mate, young player of the tournament, 17-year-old. Well, he was 16 for the whole thing, apart from the final. It's just incredible areas. The kid's still in school. He was doing homework on his off days. Like, incredible. It's like a movie, and they probably will make a movie out of it. So congratulations to him. And I know he's not an Aussie, but it's such a cool story, and it's a massive world tournament. Obviously, you know, that's the biggest one in Europe, and Europe's massive. Football's massive in Europe. There's the Copa America as well, which is the same thing, but for the American teams, which of course was won by Argentina.
Did you see the chaos in that?
Big chaos. So it was played at the what's it called, Hard Rock Stadium in Miami, the Miami Dolphins home stadium, and it had been torn apart because people are trying to get in. They're just climbing in everywhere, and everybody's saying the US have the next World Cup. If this is how that went, how's that going to go? But that's a different story. Argentina got the job done despite losing who many say is the GOAT, Lionel Messi, to an injury. Either way, Messi gets another trophy and stakes his claim even further to be the greatest ever. Whether it is or not, I'm not going to lay a claim there. But Argentina won the Copa America and Spain won the Euros. So big stuff in the world of football there. And we're going to talk about a different sort of football. We're going to head back homewards, and it's time for local footy. And you had something to move on from our first segment, I believe.
Yeah, thanks, Boxy. Local footy. Now, my local hero, my local wonder, I think I'll just go back to the photo that I started with, because that right there, I'll go, Boxy, you are it. You are him. If you don't know...
You said it, not me.
Yeah, if you don't know, I showed my goal a couple of weeks ago. So can you talk me through this?
What's going on here?
So talk me through
pack,
it. Talk me through it.
Crashing the pack, fall over. But it's all right because we get back up. Don't mind me. Snags. Mate, the only thing I didn't do is I should have given...
Yeah, you should have done the replique.
You need to give me lessons.
Now, I just want to highlight that again. If you didn't see it, watch where Boxy is. If you can actually, see where he is, as I just have to quickly go to this photo again just to get this to play. But, so where are you? You crashed the pack there. That was you, yes?
Yeah, on the backside.
So you're on the backside, and then seconds later, you're already up on your feet. You receive the handball. You kind of just fumble it a little bit. But you get it. You kick a goal. Just a nice, what do you call it, crossbody or?
Bit of a snap. Just showing the reigning Coleman medalist how it's done. I don't miss Woods. Neither of us do, to be honest.
So do you know what your stats were? Were you counting them?
No, I don't count stats. I'm more of a team man. But you take your opportunities when you get them. So
how far did you run, do you reckon? Would you have the GPS in?
Should have put the GPS in. She was a heavy track. It was very, very muddy.
So for those that don't know, we've been discussing this. We were playing at Wattle Park, and I should have actually taken some footage of what the ground looked like, because
very,
it was
very
mud.
Heavy.
You literally were
you had to lift your feet up this high just to
if
get going.
If you stepped, you could feel your boots sink in. It was like quicksand.
Yeah, it was moist. But that's footy, and you got to love it.
I don't have the vision here, but if you check out my YouTube or my Instagram, you'll see probably the highlight of the day
Well-
is me running. When I say running, I'm slowly going the ball against Bailey McCabe. And
Tough day to keep your feet, Woods, so I'll give you that. So
I'm running. I've just touched the ball. And next thing I know, I've gone to ground. And luckily, this game's being recorded, so I'm like, I want to actually see that vision. And just, of course, it's me just slowly, me running. And then I've just had the hand in the back. The hand on the number, he's just pushed me aside, and I've gone to ground, and I'm like...
you don't see that often. Woods just got brushed aside. It was a decent move from $1 Million Bailey.
It was hand in the back, but I don't mind.
That was
As I said, I don't play for the full-on things. We did go down by over 100, so there's not much to discuss in that game. It was great to play the Div 12 Rezzies.
It's great. Decent fellas. They played quite well. They had a few fellas down back that were getting a fair bit of the ball and driving it forward. George Burgess, my mate from Inverloch, doing it beautifully. He was just intercepting everything. He wasn't really playing on anybody. No one was giving him much respect, which we probably should have. But had a great game. Big George. Checkers tapped me a few beauties as well. Got a few clearances on the board myself. But it was great
give a
fun.
big shout out to Kados and Roaming has made his debut kick for. Well done on them. But we look to this week.
It was great to play with the boys, even if it was a half for me.
Yeah.
I'm pretty competitive, so I wasn't too happy to see the final result. But I will say it was close-ish when I left.
It was close at halftime. Now, I actually want to bring this up as well, and I will get the vision up here. I don't have the vision here ready to go, but when I first came on, can you remember it?
Yeah, so I'd actually come off. I was going off for about, end up being like 30 seconds, then straight back into the midfield. But Woods was the person I swapped on with, and I've basically got off the ground. I turned to Ruba, who was doing coaching from the boundary line. I said, I'm about to give him a spray for pulling me off. Could not quite believe it. I was only playing a half, and before I could get the words out, I've turned around and the ball has fallen into Woodsy's lap. Unfortunately, the opponent had also fallen into Woodsy's lap, so all of a sudden there was a scuffle. And I turned around and I'm like, oh no, what have I done here? But he was good enough. Woods was good enough to tap the ball out. I think we won possession.
I tapped the ball between my legs to advantage, and I'll make sure that all this footage will be available in my documentary at the end of the season. No, I am making a small video about my experiences, my thoughts. It's not going to be a lot of vision from matches, but when there is match vision, I will be highlighting it, such as my first goal. But there's a lot more vision from this game because it was recorded. And we had our own videographer, the producer, Lorenzo, who
taking some great stuff. Yeah, he is unreal, this bloke. So if we ever don't give him enough credit, we should give him credit every week. He's phenomenal.
He sits here, he puts up with us. It's an amazing
thing. Took some great shots on the weekend as well, which it could be said, not a very pretty game of football. It was very yuck, you could say. The ball movement wasn't quite as crisp as you'd expect. It was a thick deck.
At this level, once again, it's not about the
result.
Lot of fun. It's not about getting a win is great, but it's more about just playing. I think that's the biggest thing. Is playing with your mates,
getting out there, rocking up, having a crack.
We do it all again next week. That's the beauty about football, and we're playing St Mary Salesians. I believe that's how you pronounce it. I'm not sure. At 10 a.m. at home this weekend on Saturday, so I'll be playing again. I'm only playing 2 more games due to work commitments, and there's only 3 more games to go, I believe, so I'm only missing the one. So make sure if you are in the area of Dandenong, check it out on a Saturday. And the last round we'll be playing Elston Week, I think it is, so there might be a good game there. But after the game, I went to Moreton Park to see Blackburn take on East Ringwood in what was a good contest. East Ringwood kicked away and Blackburn started to fight back, but just weren't able to get it. So East Ringwood on top. And Blackburn look to face Norwood this week at Moreton Park, home game. So hopefully we'll do well there. But the reason why you had to leave at half time was he had to make the trip down because he's commentating in Bunyip.
And the Dogs were trying to eradicate their 30-game losing streak. It dates back to the last game of 2022 when they defeated Dalston.
Now,
Since then, they have not won a single game.
Actually, I don't know the result. I honestly have purposely kept away from the result.
So this is me. Obviously, they had the big blow-up Bulldog. They had activations everywhere. They had stalls. They had coffee vans. They had the paramedics doing a bit of a stall. They had Carlton Draft sort of pop-ups everywhere. And there was easily, 5,000 people there. It's like I compare it to a grand final. It could potentially even bigger.
I love that shot as well.
Here's a bit of a fisheye from above. They had the drones going. There was about 6 different camera crews and people trying to get involved because obviously the main man, Isaac Smith, the number 1 pick in the Carlton Draft, was there playing for the Dogs. So too, 2 former Dogs, 2 Bulldogs juniors in Shane Mumford, who you might know, and Michael Ross, who is a cousin of the Papleys. Here is Big Mummy and Smithy, who bought that hat. They didn't give that to him. He brought that and he said, I want to fit in with the country. And we said, Smithy, it's not that sort of country, mate. But he was a character. Got to interview him. And that photo before in front of the big dog wasn't my choice. It was my great friend Ian's choice to get that one of me. He sort of forced me into it. Either way, it was a great afternoon. It was a horrible afternoon weather-wise, but that did not deter anybody. The game started with, I'm not exaggerating, about 18 stoppages in a row on the far wing and a final score after the first quarter of 0-3, the way of the Bulldogs. 2 of those behinds were Isaac Smith. One was on the run with the right hoof. The other one was a check side from the boundary line with the left. Both missed. And it was one of the more boring games you'll see at quarter time, but not a single person left that I could see. The huddles were as big as I've ever seen. There was cameras everywhere, big boom mics, different people trying to get involved. Podcasts and Carlton Draft and Fox Footy and things everywhere. It is one of the best local footy events I've ever been to because it's what it's about. And at the end of the day, it wasn't about the result at all. It was about everyone getting down to this amazing football club, taking in the action, and Shane Mumford really symbolised that. He played as good as 95% in the ruck in a game that had well over 40 to 50 stoppages, and the bloke was absolutely tuckered. He chipped his tooth in what I think when he did it was a mark. He dived for this mark in the second quarter, just picked it off the deck, like at full strength, the big fella. Like you don't expect him to have to get down like that. And then he gave the wraparound handball to Isaac, who finished from 45 to open the goal scoring, which brought the house down. It ended up being quite an entertaining game through the rain, but at the end of the day, Woods, result-wise, and this isn't being critical, it's just the way football is. It's a team game. You can have as many superstars as you want, but the team with more of a balanced squad that play better, connected, classy football, and more people playing to the higher level are going to win. So Bunyip went down for the 31st consecutive time.
Bugger.
But Isaac Smith was the story because he was having a decent game. I think he still finished with 20 and 2 goals, both assisted directly by Shane Mumford, which was pretty cool. But he got tripped pretty badly just before half-time. Didn't get the free kick either, which I thought was blasphemous, and hurt his knee quite badly. He limped off. He came on to the first centre bounce of the second half, but then was not seen again in the midfield. He stayed forward. They didn't get too many inside 50s in the third term, the Bulldogs. So Smithy couldn't quite work himself back into the game after half-time. He did kick the goal, had a few more marks and disposals, but just was sort of hampered by that. He was limping for the rest of the game. Not sure what actually happened to his leg or his knee, but it was in a lot of pain. So it's a little bit of a curse. Obviously, we saw Bucks was the last in Gippsland in the Carlton Draft. He didn't last a quarter with a hammy. And Dill Buckley's next this weekend. So hopefully he can get through unscathed. That's the main thing, regardless of the result. Mumford played 4 quarters, did not come off, I don't think, that I saw, which is amazing from the bloke because he's a big fella and, he's getting older. And then he was the last one out of both teams off the field in the loss, signing autographs, taking photos with kids. He absolutely loves his home club. There's nothing better I've seen this year than the amount of people that were there. And there was still thousands there after the game, well after the game. They stayed around to have a chat as well. Genuinely awesome fellas. So congratulations to Bunyip, the Carlton Draft, and all the boys. Unfortunately, the Dogs couldn't get their first win in 31 tries.
Okay.
But they'll try again this weekend, and they play Curran Burrabina, who is second last on the ladder in a couple of weeks. I'll be covering that one, so hopefully it can happen then. But that's local footy for the weekend. A great photo to finish on, a great segment as well. And that's enough yapping from us.
Now, before we finish, we've just got two more things to talk about. So, I think you might have mentioned this in the past few weeks. Prime Train.
Oh, of course. How could I forget? So I sort of teased it, but it has now been confirmed, and he did play on the weekend. He loved his time at the island. He is back for the rest of the season.
Just hold on. He's got to be giving Charlie Curnow some advice. 8 goals.
Well, he doesn't actually, because that was back on Easter. On the weekend, he made his return. He kicked 0 goals, 5.
Okay, maybe
2
not.
of which from the goal square for Prime.
Okay, maybe not.
So not Tommy's best day. He will be better this weekend against Garfield, I can promise you that. Garfield are prime for the matchup. But, yeah, this makes Phillip Island so ominous for anybody who has them the rest of the year and for the finals, because we know how good our man is. Unfortunately, he's got a little bit of a hamstring issue, but I think he's going to get through that by the end of the season and really be damaging towards the finals. And finally, I've got a little bit of a weekly wonder. I know we said we've yapped enough, but this one's quite important. If you didn't see it, the under-18 national champions were held over the weekend, and it was a controversial win to Metro. An absolute robbery, if you ask me. I am biased because I'm a country boy. But an absolute robbery it was, because that's just not 50 metres and it's not a free kick that gave Trainer the shot from the top of the square to win the game. Either way, they won, but it wasn't because our man didn't try. This is Xavier Lindsay. He is great mates with my little brother. I used to coach him when he was in under 10s and under 12s.
So you're taking the credit.
I'm not taking the credit. I'm just saying it makes me so happy that he's doing so well. He always had that, trusty left. He was a great runner, brilliantly skilled outside footballer. He's very smart. Unfortunately, he made the selfish decision to move from Inverloch Conway to Leongatha a couple of years ago. We don't blame him for that.
So you don't. I was about to say. So you don't talk to him now.
He's no. We talk to him. He's a product of the Inverloch Conway Football Factory, and he gathered the most disposals that I saw in the game. 30 touches in the grand final, in the Nationals grand final, just to stake his claim.
That's to keep your eye out for the AFL draft time.
Staking his claim is pick me if you want something that will really change your football club. So congratulations to Zave. Just getting it done is the Gippsland Power captain. So hopefully he can finish off his year well and hear his name at the end of the season.
And just finishing up on the local footy and for the podcast, we talked about Footy Focus. This was a photo I took on the weekend that I just really liked because it sums up local footy to a T. You got the action in the foreground, and then in the background you've got some of the under-19s watching from the back of their utes. So I just thought I'd highlight that. That's good. This is going to be one of my entries into Footy Focus. Once again, highlighting Footy Focus. If you've got any photos that you take during the season, if you've taken them this year, or if you want to take them out, make sure you enter them. And yeah, so I think that just about wraps it up. So I'll leave it to Boxy to do the usual.
Well, my last thing was just going to be, you'll see this after the game has happened, but go Maroons. We were let down by them at the G a few weeks ago, Woods. We're expecting a comeback. I've got the scarf out. Seriously, anything better than last game, we'll be happy. Hopefully
by the
they get it
time
done.
this podcast is released, by the time the podcast is released, we will know whether it's a Queensland year or if it's just a blue state of origin year.
It's the decider. It's 1-1. So
if you're watching this, what was your favourite highlight from State of Origin 3? Were you happy with the result? Did your team win? If you're watching this after the weekend, did your team win? Let us know. And what is your expectations for the rest of the year? And I think we'll see you next time. So don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment all your opinions from this episode, and send through some amazing photos if you have any.